Dream-Weaving in the Eye of the Storm by Katherine Nathe. Straining to peer past the piercing refulgence, her eyes blurred, before she saw the window to his bedroom. Ah, she thought, we forgot to pull the blinds. The sunlight always comes in so brightly when we forget to do that. Finding she was still in his arms, she glanced at her hand where his ring sparkled brilliantly on her finger. For a moment, she indulged in savoring the way he completely enlaced and embraced her, even in his sleep, which was one of so many things that she loved about him. What a strange dream, she remarked, slowly slipping away from his arms, getting up from his bed, and sleepily walking out into the living room. The gorgeous view from the large ocean-facing window always inspired awe. The sunny horizon beamed from a hazy seam dividing the sky from the vast blue of the ocean, quenching early morning sensory delight. Occasionally, passing ships could be observed, though merely as meandering specks. But whether navigating commercially or recreationally, generally by the naked eye alone, it might prove difficult to discern. Therefore, a long telescope sat nearby, ready to aid, along with a pair of binoculars for coastal seabird watching. This particular morning, the water surface appeared glassy. The only vessel she could distinguish was the small handmade sailboat given by his grandfather that sat on the bordering edge of the window frame. The simple linen curtains were, as usual, drawn open to either side, while the outer shutter blinds were fastened securely out of the way. The peaceful view assisted in her quietly deciding to go outside for a walk on the ocean's sandy shores to clear her mind, and doing so with a resolved, purposeful effort not to make a sound, for she did not wish to wake him. He was so beautiful when he slept, and though she already missed being in his arms, the dream she was beginning to wake from relentlessly swam the periphery of her mind, impeding any attempt to resume sleep. Moreover, her desire not to cause unnecessary concern added to her resolve to softly slip out the cottage door, attentive in her efforts not to produce even a creak upon the wood while going down the front steps. Hurrying in tiptoe fashion, she dashed along the main pathway to a private set of stairs that led down to a secluded area of the ocean, framed by jagged, eroding rocky cliffs protruding sharply to either side of a fortified sandy strip. Ending crescendos of crashing waves absorbed the approaching sound of her accelerated footsteps and winded, panting breath. The hypnotic, rhythmic roar forcefully imbued the air, capturing a fickle aroma of seaweed and salt bouncing on the brisk breeze kicked up from the bank of the sea. Recognizing a small, declining portable lifeguard station towering in the sable sand at a distance, long left unused, though not yet surrendered and retrieved, proved to be the direction she intrepidly ensued. Detecting the beach looked different, though unable to pinpoint in which way specifically, she irreconcilably hopped down from the last of the weather-worn wooden steps that jetted off a tightly placed L-shaped cliff-set stairwell. Upon landing on cool, grainy sand, her feet sank solidly. The terrain of the tiny granules waited strides as she began walking across the sand, stalwartly strolling several paces, aptly brought her parallel to the stilted lifeguard structure, after circling back and veering to the right. Then she shuffled several more steps and reached at the front face of the pod-like portable lookout tower, commencing ascension by means of a thin steel ladder intending to sit on a perch overlooking the whole watcher's view, pausing only to instinctually attend a glance ahead. She was abruptly taken aback by the sight of him standing on the ledge above, waiting with his quilt wrapped around his shoulders. Stunned to speechlessness, her mouth gaped a bit. "Didn't you say to meet you down here?" he asked with a sweet smile. "Ah," she was barely able to say, hesitating and floundering to find the next words. "I must have." Then, with an unsteady gait, she stepped hindmost from the ladder, placing both feet firmly on the sinking sand in an attempt to regain her balance. The tide rushed forward like 100 swift, galloping horses, ushering softly hissing waters, sweeping to her feet, depositing sparkling opalescent pebbles. A memory instantly emerged in the form of a surging wave, surfacing into a swell, evoking a lucent remembrance, indeed, of having asked him to meet her here when they first met. Redolent images unfolded in her mind like a blossoming flower unfurling white, fragrant petals, evoking the recollection of that precise time when he had come with his blanket draped about his shoulders, awaiting the moment she had come into proximity to draw the quilt to surround them both, locking her exceptionally close in his arms. For a moment, she stood perfectly still while that memory swam completely to shore, feeling enormous confusion, while sensing as if she was somehow in more than one place at the same time. The past overlapped the present simultaneously. "Come here," he called out, interrupting the flood of discombobulated feelings with his arms flung wide open, acquiescing to his request with a blend of confusion and curiosity. She tentatively climbed the slender metal ladder of the portable lifeguard station. Surmounting the last rung, she gradually approached him. Once within proximity to his grasp, he drew her into his arms and began to envelop her in his blanket, embracing her tightly while circling the quilt around, exactly as he had done a long time ago. "Talk to me," he warmly invited. Then he remarked he seemed troubled. Next, asking with genuine care reflected in his voice, "Is everything okay?" She let out a sigh, trying to shake everything else but him from her mind, replying, "Oh, just a dream I had. It's nothing. Kelani Windwalker, I know when you're not okay. Speak to me," he pressed in the tender voice he often used when addressing her, forgetting the previous bewilderment and quite in the present now, owing to his engaging company. She smiled amiably before responding, "Don't you mean soon-to-be Mrs. Kyle Williams?" beginning to playfully flicker her fingers, but to her surprise, the ring was gone. "Aren't you cute?" strangely riposted, before he blurted cruelly, "I'm in love with someone else. I think I'm going to marry her." A gasp escaped as the next breath clenched tightly in her chest. Flabbergasted by his words, she required a moment to recover. Though visibly distressed, she asserted breathlessly, "That is not even funny. Why would you even say something like that?" Then she repelled several steps back. "Some of my deepest regrets are with you," he oddly disclosed. What is the matter with you right now?" she exclaimed. "I don't value you. I'm indifferent to you. I'm indifferent to my relationship with you. I'm with my true love now," he broadcasted in a way seeming to be more for his benefit than hers. Disjointedly, she recoiled and painstakingly descended the ladder till toes touched sand, and uncompromisingly turned contrariwise to cleave down the beach, up the stairwell from the shore, returning to the steps of his cottage. Quickly ascending the last stair and landing on the porch, she darted athwart and thrust through the front door, loping directly into his bedroom, stumbling upon him, still lying asleep in bed. Slowly, staggering forward a few steps into his bedroom, dazed in bafflement, shaking into her dismay, she immediately distinguished that he was not